And so that covers the questions, but there's something I wanted to talk to you guys about that's pretty important, and I think it's important to discuss it, and that's the issue of what you do and how you deal with when things are not going very right in your trading. So in terms of, if we look at this market for the last, since last Thursday, right from the top there, right where, we had that top up there where it hit new all-time highs, all the way down to today, right? This has been a tough market, okay? This has not been an easy market to trade. This market's acted illogically numerous times. It's been extremely choppy. Moves that you think should continue don't. Reversals that you think should happen don't. So it's been a tough market, all right? And during these tough markets, when things kind of don't act like they normally do, like certain setups that would usually work out, that have great reward to risk, don't normally do, what will often happen is that you'll go through a drawdown. Now, that doesn't mean just you. Personally, right now, I'm in a drawdown. All right, now it's not a big one. I can be made up with one big trade, but it's still, nonetheless, it's a drawdown. And no matter what level of expertise you get to, okay, this is a reality of the market. You will have periods where things just don't line up with the way you see the market. Now, there's other traders that might have been killing it this period, who knows, right? But regardless, it's how you look at the market and how you view it, and there are going to be periods that are tough and you're going to have losses. Okay, so sometimes we get questions sent in. It's like, well, how could I have avoided this, or what could I have seen? And those are natural because you want to learn, right? But you don't want to make the mistake of thinking there's always ways to avoid losses, or there's always things you could have noticed that would have helped you not take a certain loss. Because if you do that, in essence, what you're saying is you're trading not to lose, and you don't want to do that. You want to be trading almost with an offensive mindset, of course, with extreme risk control, but you want to be trading to win. And so you just gotta accept that there's gonna be periods when things just are out of whack and you're gonna have losses. Okay, now the question isn't that if you're gonna get those periods. You will, no matter how good you get. The greatest market wizards and all the books you've read, okay, they all have them. Now here's the key thing that you guys have got to take note of. The key thing is, how do you react to them? If you read those books and you hear about the traders that make the millions, and the ones that are extremely famous, the one thing they all have in common is not the fact that they don't go through losing periods, or that they're all such great geniuses at reading the market that they're never wrong. The one thing they all have in common is their ability to handle those tough times, right? And not let it deflate them, and not let it be, fill them with doubt and lose their confidence. And then they still take the same good trades when they set up, even if they've been failing. That's the difference, okay? And those traders, then what happens when things snap back like they always do? They kill it, and they easily make up the losses. Whereas the average trader, what will happen is you'll be sitting there and you'll have a stretch like the recent one, at least for me. And I hope some of you guys are doing better, and this period hasn't been tough. But this period I found it tough. It's been choppy. It's been, after that big FOMC move up, it looked like the market was at all-time highs, extremely bullish. And often what happens is the market doesn't just reverse that right away. Often what will happen is, at the very least, it'll come down, balance, and then retest the highs. And it didn't do that. It just kept going down day after day after day after day. And the funny, realize that, look, this is like you don't know how many 5-to-1 reward to risk trades I put on in the last week or so, right? I would be catching the lows of the swings. I would, like, that Thursday I caught the low at 18, and then it ended up failing. The next day, it was Friday, the September 20th. I caught the morning tick low at 12.25. It goes up and ends up failing. The next day, I catch another low intraday, momentary low thinking, and every time I didn't take my profits, right? Once or twice it was break even, the other times they were losses. And the reason for that is because I didn't want to take my profits at 2 or 3 point bounce. I was thinking this thing could easily move 10 points and I get a 5-to-1 reward to risk trade. And it was logical in terms of context. So I held them knowing that the way the market was acting was likely to be a loss. But the reason why I held them, it was simply because I know that if I was wrong and the market, if I wasn't right about it being weak and it did go up, I would have missed out on 5R. And, like I talked about before, I've talked about it many times, when you have those big reward to risk trades and you want to scratch them, fine, if you scratch, you save 1R, but if you miss the move, you're missing out on 5R, sometimes 6R, 4R, whatever, but it's not worth scratching. So I took the losses and it ended up, causing a slight drawdown period. And again, so the key there is to realize that the market is very cyclical in its phases. It'll go through phases where there's things set up right, volatility is nice, moves just kind of almost uh, give you a heads up and then take off in your direction very quickly and it's easy. And other times they'll be choppy like today. They'll give you a lot of fake signals, setups that usually work don't work, things that do work go to a certain place and then with no warning sign, kind of like today, just drop straight back down. You're like, what the hell happened? There goes your profits. And that's part of it. That's trading. That's the markets. The key thing is how do you deal with those cycles or those periods where you are in a drawdown period or you are in a period where things aren't acting right. And the advice I want to give you guys, okay, is to, in those periods, okay, you have to do whatever you can to keep belief in your long-term edge. I know it's hard, trust me. It's still hard to this day for me after years of trading, right? And it's never fun losing money. But you have to think about your long-term edge, okay? And you have to have belief, deep belief that if you do the right things and you trade based on the right principles, you will end up overall up. You might take losses during a drawdown period, right? But overall, if you just keep doing the right things over and over, in the end, you'll make money because sure enough, sometimes it seems like it'll never happen, but sure enough, the market snapped back to being kind of normal and providing good opportunities. And if you take some 3, 4, 5R winners, you make back up all your losses and then some in a very short period of time. The mistake you want to avoid is when you go through a drawdown period, you start changing up your style, becoming a lot more cautious, becoming scared to take the good setups, the good reward to risk setups, and then when the markets do change, you'll miss the big moves, you won't make up your losses, and then you'll start feeling, after a while of this, you'll start feeling, oh man, I should be more aggressive, and then you'll start getting aggressive eventually, finally, at the time where the good period is ending again and the bad cycle is starting again, and you'll have even more drawdowns. That's how traders get themselves stuck in long-term ruts. So you got to be very aware of this, okay? You got to be aware of the cyclicality of the market, and there's very few traders, unless they're extremely hyperactive scalpers, that are going to be consistent every single day or day after day after day. You go through stretches when you have many winning days, but then there's going to be stretches when things just don't work, even if you're doing the right things. The key is to continue doing the right things as much as it hurts in the short term. Because as you know, if you're trading correctly based on good reward to risk, you will make up all the losses very quickly with 2 or 3 good trades. Right now, one 5R trade will make up the whole drawdown for me, and that's why I keep taking the good trades. It's as simple as that, okay? And the last thing I'd say is whenever you're going through a period like this and you're feeling a bit deflated or kind of losing confidence or anything like that, I want you to actually literally remind yourself that even the best traders, right, even the market wizards, even Awais and I, who you're learning from right now, go through these too. And once you recognize that, it makes it feel easier. You don't feel like you're all alone, like you always feel like, oh, I'm the only one losing money. Well, you're not, right? And when you take that and you keep it in your mind, and you realize, hey, it's not that big of a deal. I know if I continue doing the right things, I'll make money. It makes it easier. Like personally, I even do it where, I imagine what, those traders, the multi-millionaire traders in the market wizards do. And, I think about how confident they stay and how just ready for the kill when the markets finally do turn around, and how the real edge and what really separates them is how well they can, take losses and go through the tough times and not let them shake them up. And the more I remember that, the more it keeps me kind of grounded and more confident. And then sure enough, things, I mean, trust me, once you go through these cycles again and again, year after year after year after year, you just get used to it, right? In the beginning, it feels hard. And when I started to go through them in the beginning of my career, I didn't even have anyone telling me all this. So I thought, oh man, like each one would seem like a personal disaster until you just start noticing that, hey, even the best traders go through them, and that makes you feel better, and then you're able to just do the right thing and really bounce back from adversity. It's really all about how well you handle adversity. It really is. Like, there's a lot of traders that can make money in the good times, but then a few bad times, and they just then makes them lose everything. It's about keeping it. This is a career, right? This is day after day after day, week after week after week. You keep the same focus, you keep the same confidence. And yes, it'll wane, it'll go down a bit when you're doing worse, and it'll go up when you're doing better. That's natural. It's just you want to try to keep it at the highest level possible. And you do that by doing the right things and judging yourself not based on just your P&L, but based on how well you're doing things. All right, and if you're taking a good reward to risk trade that had all the context with it and then it failed, still be proud of yourself, because another time it won't fail and you're going to make a hell of a lot of money overall. All right, so I just wanted to kind of share this with you guys, because I know this has been a tough period, and I'm sure a lot of people are struggling, especially with a day like today, where everything is crazy chopped up, and and sometimes even little things, like for instance, today I got, ticked out, stopped out literally to the tick on one trade. And then on another trade, I was sitting there at the bid, and it was hitting the bid, and I didn't get filled, and that would have been a nice winner. I was trying to buy 88 in the morning before that really large pop up to 95. I mean, I had visualized that before it happened, and I sat there 88, and this thing's hitting the bid, and I think, of course I'm going to get filled, and then it just shoots up, and you're left without a trade. That would have been a nice, 3-hour trade that would get you back, and on a very good day. But sometimes those don't happen. So sometimes it's not just the bad trades, it's all the bad market. Sometimes it's just short-term luck too, where you don't get filled or you get ticked out, and it ends up being worse. And just remember that luck evens out. All right, sometimes you get lucky, and when you get lucky, sometimes you get unlucky, sometimes overall you just got to be doing the right things. And I think it's refreshing to know that we all go through this. Even the guys who are doing it for a living, who make a lot of consistent money at it, they all go through this. And sometimes it's it's even tough, and it's just all about remembering that this is trading, right? So hope that helps you guys.